Hey guys, this is Nakai and welcome to the finale of Katawa Shoujo. Just before you jump into the video, I will warn you there are a lot of cuts in this episode. I'm recording this after I finished the route, Lilly's route. So the game's done. This is the last episode, and I will be doing like a collective best of like thoughts of the game tomorrow. But for now, I just want to inform you that I was stuck in this game, like legitimately stuck for the first time. That was because in order to get to Lilly's good ending, you need to go through a very specific set of choices, and you need to be honest with Lilly and agree with her, and gotta be really. You can't really lie, not even throw a white lie at her. And I had done a single wrong choice at the very beginning of the game, of her route, in Act 2, I believe, when we're climbing from the town to the city, and I had a hellfest hunting that one choice down. So I played through all the choices in the game, and that's kind of what the beginning of this video is, but after that you will be getting to the good end. I'll see you on the other side, guys. And enjoy this finale. It was full of... it was a roller coaster of emotions. Okay, guys, we are all the way back in... I think this is Act 2 or Act 3. Act 2 or early Act 3. Where... in a scene called A Brief History of Time, and as you just heard, I need to change these options to get or my choices to get the good end of Lilly's. So we avoided the subject of why I think on why we exhausted. So last time we avoided the subject, let's tell the truth this time. Or never mind. It's not related to our heart. It's been so long since I played this. It was just kind of... I was thinking about how you seem to have everything so sorted out, even with Hanako relying on you. I can admit that even I kind of relied on you when I first transferred in. I think it's a good quality to have. I turned to Lilly, surveying her reaction. She's forcing herself to look forward and furrowing her brow quite a bit. Her face looks a bit awkward, as if she was trying to find just the right words. Lilly? I would thank you, but assuming that I don't rely on the presence of others is too much, you'd be wrong to think that Hanako simply depends on me with nothing in return. She seems to have a bit of trouble saying it, but even though it's largely what I thought already. If she's tried so hard to maintain her independence, as anyone would have had to in her position, sided or not, maybe she finds it hard to talk about her own needs. It's only now that I realize an omission in what she says, though. I decide to follow it up, largely in jest, to avoid things getting too personal. Oh? And what about me? She suddenly runs ahead of me and turns, blocking me off. With a smile, she holds her hands behind her as she leans forwards. You're different. Like in Portal 2, you're different! Or I'm different! And with that, she turns back and continues to walk ahead of me, a newfound spring in her step. All I can do is raise an eyebrow and give a dazed grin. I don't think I've ever seen this playful and teasing side of her before. Oh, believe me, Hisao, you will in the future. So I'm different. It's hard to work out the exact context, but knowing her, this ambiguity was intended. Our relationship has been changing, at the very least simply because I've begun to stand on my own feet more, and started getting more curious about the situation of those around me. As to why, probably a mix of personal curiosity and a want to try and work out how to deal with my situation. I'm less sure of Lilly though. That's why her own statement, so similar to my own feelings towards her, throws me off so much. Watching her make her way up the street, cane tapping from left to right, I decide to settle the matter later and just smile. This is a nice side to her, and I don't want to forget it. Okay, this should be old dialogue again. Yep. Iwanako's letter. Emmy! So we're in the cafeteria where we're with Kenji. I actually forgot about this choice. I have no idea how this would relate to the route, like. I mean, I'm gonna pick humor him, as we did last time, because I can't connect this choice to Lilly's route, but let's pick humor him. And old dialogue. Next up was the choice when Hanako missed school. We went to the girls' dormitories and a random girl asked like, "Hi, what are you doing here?" And we asked about Hanako. And I think it's a good choice. I think we can, like, pick it again. So let's get going. And this is on our way to Hokkaido. I really like that train CGI, with them being all like, all chill and stuff. Okay, this choice, we are in Hokkaido in the Sato summer house, and Lilly is worried about our heart this time, I think. Yeah, our medication. And we are going to address it, because like I don't see how waving her off would make any difference. Like as mentioned at the start of the video, I did try both these options, and I think address it is better still. So let's pick it. We're on the walk, and we have the heart flutter, which was actually a really impactful moment in the game, or in the route actually. And that fucking scene, holy hell. Next, we have the choice where we are on our way back from Hokkaido. Hokkaido, why is that so hard to say? And we can talk about either about Hanako or about school. And I don't think how this, like again, how these would make a difference. So let's talk about Hanako. And skip. This scene was so fucking good. Like honestly, this was brilliantly done. They really gave Lilly's character the finesse she deserved, especially in this scene, but like overall throughout the entire route. Also, this choice, again, there's a checkbox marked in both of those options because I like tried playing through these earlier, and both of them were like similar. There won't be a Negacious video without me forgetting to turn off my goddamn Facebook. Anyways, I went through both of those options, and I think mentioning the letter is better, so let's go with that. And mentioning the letter, of course, means that we got a letter from Iwanako, because Lilly asked that, did you ever hear from that girl again, referring to Iwanako? So we're going to say yes. So this is the Akira one-on-one talk we had in the park. This scene was also really, like, it left a strong impression. Okay guys, pray, we are at the final, like, we're at the last line of dialogue before we got the bad/neutral end last time. I think I've gone over every single choice in Lilly's route now, like, thinking them again, because, like, no matter what did I do, I couldn't get on the good end by choosing just from the latter options, so pray. If there's, like, dialogue or anything after this... Yes! Woo! Fuck yeah! Okay, good grief. Oh my god, dude. That was a friggin' workshop of... Look at... that was a workshop. Okay, we are on the good end now. This has to be the good end now. So, let's get going. Jesus. That was... oh my god. Jesus Christ, like that was complex to get onto. Okay, anyways, enough of my rambling. Let's get going. So this is after after Lilly and Akira left Yamaku. So, like the next day. The snap of my mobile phone's closing contrasts with the ambient chatter and noise audible even in the hallway outside the library. It's the first day of the summer holidays, a time that had perpetually seemed so far away, and yet it's now not only here, but also made painfully obvious by the students, or lack thereof, left in the school. Most students have returned home to spend the holidays with relatives by now. The few that are left are mostly chatting between themselves, usually about what they intend to do in the coming weeks. It makes me feel like the odd one out for taking advantage of the school library being open for the first several days of the holidays. Ostensibly, it's for students to drop off any books they've borrowed and have yet to return, and for those who'll have their parents pick them up to help pass the time until they get whisked away. Thanks to the recent lengthy phone call from my parents, which had so rudely woken me from my sleeping on a beanbag at the back of the library, I'm now in the latter category. Sliding my phone back into my pocket, this time remembering to set it on silent, I go back into the quiet and wholly placid room. It's a nostalgic sight. Just as when Lilly first led me to the library, the orange tint of sunset bathes the room in its light, while Hanako sits on a beanbag, silently reading, and Yuko fusses, just barely visible behind the counter. Hanako especially has been noticeably more quiet than usual since yesterday's happenings, but I can't really blame her. It wasn't just me that depended on that person after all. I quietly walk back to the beanbag near her where I'd sat before, being doubly careful not to make any unnecessary noise. God, I can't read. Maybe that's because I went through the friggin' entirety of Lily's route before I got here, like just literally before this actual good ending route. The soft puff it gives as the bag takes my weight makes Hanako's eyes flick towards me, but only for a second. I get the feeling that Hanako's been quiet only partly out of sadness following Lily's departure. Rather, she seems more thoughtful and measured than I'd expected, perhaps due to her desire of working out how to deal with Lily's leaving rather than just being depressed over it. It makes me a little proud of her. Hey, Hanako?
Yeah?
Still going ahead with your idea of traveling? She gives a determined nod.
I'll be starting in a day or two. Naomi's decided to come with me too.
Wow, quick start. Where are you two headed to first?
I think we're going to start by going north, then loop down and go southward.
So, Hokkaido's going to be first. She gives another nod, more tentative than the last. The significance of that place is not lost on either of us. Do you know how you're going to handle the traveling expenses and accommodations?
Yeah, I've worked everything out. I think it should be okay. Naomi says she has her side worked out too.
You know that if you need anything you can just call, right? I gave you my number before. Any time of the day is fine. They actually became really good friends in this route. Yay! She gives a smile, which in itself feels like a small personal victory.
I know. Thanks, Hisao.
Maybe Lilly was right. Although I may offer Hanako any help I can possibly give, I feel as if I know she doesn't need it. She really has grown. Hanako's plans for her holidays are in sharp contrast to my simple following of my parents' suggestion to stay with them. Holidays had always made me feel less excited than most though, so maybe this is just a return to the status quo. Before my heart attack, I'd always lived so aimlessly that holidays weren't all that much different from my everyday life anyway. After school, I'd wander around a bit in the city, often hanging out with some friends, before making my way home to eat dinner with usually one of my parents, but rarely both. Their work schedules didn't leave much time for them to be home, and going there straight from school would have just meant I'd end up feeling bored. It was an urbanite through and through. Since coming to Yamaku though, it feels as if I've fundamentally changed as a person. The phone call with my parents erased any traces of doubt I might have held on that, in any case. While before I had exercised a fairly normal level of independence for a teenager, that being not a whole lot, my parents were more than pleased to hear of my newfound ability in taking care of myself. Laundry, cooking for myself, cleaning, all in addition to the general chores that come from living without parents around. Just little menial things I've had to pick up, but with relative ease. When I think about it, I'd always depended on them, even if they hadn't been at home all the time. To say I never depended on anyone after moving to the Yamaku dormitories would be far from the truth, though.
Excuse me.
The two of us look up at the awkwardly fidgeting figure in front of us. Some things never change.
It's getting close to closing time, so,
Oh, right, I'd forgotten that the library closes earlier during the holidays. Hanako and I both get up and dust ourselves off, placing our books back on the shelf behind us. The fact that our tastes in reading material have a fair amount of overlap is useful at times. With a bow to Yuko to apologize for taking so much time, Hanako takes her leave of us.
see you tomorrow, Hisao.
Bye. And with that, she walks out of the large, wooden, aging doors that herald the entrance to the library.
She's a quiet person, isn't she?
I suppose I should be surprised at a staff member sharing personal opinions like this, but after knowing Yuko for a while, it's largely expected. Our relationship is more personal, rather than one with her acting as an authority figure. Yeah, I think that's just how she is. She's got a lot more confidence in herself these days, though.
I don't know her as well as you do, but I think I agree. It's nice to see her talking to people here. She never used to do that before.
Hey, Yuko, you know about Lilly's leaving, right?
She told me herself a few days ago. It must be hard, leaving everyone behind like she is.
She quickly looks back to me after she says this, probably remembering that I went to her for advice on the relationship between me and Lilly before.
Are you going to be okay?
That's a difficult question. It's something I'd rather not think about right now, though, given the more pressing issues. Something seems kind of off about this whole deal, don't you think? Yuka appears to think for a while, absent-mindedly scrunching her face up in a variety of creative ways as she does so.
I don't think I know her well enough to make that kind of judgment. I'm sorry I can't be more help.
Nah, it's fine. I'm just sort of thinking aloud. I give a deep sigh and scratch my head in frustration. There's just so much stuff happening at once that I have no control over. It feels like I'm being swamped.
I think everyone goes through times like that. What's important is to concentrate on what you can do rather than what you can't do. At least that's how I see it. If I didn't think like that, I don't think I'll be able to manage my life as it is.
She says it with a smile and a light tone, but her words are far from any kind of joke. Being pulled between two jobs as she is, just to hopefully make enough money not to only live, but also for university, must be exhausting. Perhaps that's why, coming from her, this feels like it has more meaning than it had come from most others. I guess you've a point there. Thank you for your advice once again, Yuko. She bows deeply and smiles again, before making her way back to the counter where she spends so much of her time. Oh, we're in our room. I guess Hisao's still down from the fact that Lilly's gone. The tiny wings of the cardboard crane in my fingers are only just visible in the dim light of my room, just a little of the moonlight being able to peek through the curtains and around their edges. I lie still in my dark bed for a long time, idly looking up at the little origami bird. I'm getting shivers already. It's the bird Lilly made for us. Wow, dude, I had forgotten about the origami completely. The moment they showed it up, like on the screen, I remember that Lilly actually made it for us on the rooftop. It feels a lot's happened since Lilly folded this, but at the same time, it feels like very little has changed. Compared to everyone else, I'm back to square one. I might have a newfound idea of where I want to go in life, but that's hardly something that affects me now. Hanako changed, I know that much. If anything, she just makes me feel like I've got no excuse to be like this, considering her previous situation. Lilly, though... I turned the bird in my fingers another way, looking at it from yet another angle. When I first met her, she seemed aloof and perhaps somewhat distant. Her actions were always careful, measured and precise, and her carefully maintained composure always gave the appearance of unerring confidence and serenity. In time, she became less formal. Just a bit, but enough. It felt good to see her lowering her inhibitions around me and opening up, even just a little of her own accord. It felt as if I was seeing her real self slowly become more vibrant and visible. Now, though, I'm beginning to have doubts. Perhaps they're to be expected after what is, effectively, the two of us breaking up. They don't feel new or strange though, but rather like an old book being found and dusted off. I soon realized after meeting Lilly that she saw me as she did Hanako, as someone who needed help and care. At first, I simply thought that we'd be fine as friends, helping each other out our limited time together in school. But then I began to treasure our moments together more and more, from our quiet walks to our talking over lunch. The good sides of her personality became ever more obvious and ever more likable. The absence caused by Lilly's trip to Scotland to visit her long-distant family and sick aunt only made me realize how much I liked just being around her. and I had thought that she felt a similar way. For her, though, maybe that wasn't everything to our relationship. Even after she returned to Japan, that just meant she lost her family once again after meeting them for such a brief time. She lived so much of her life without her family around, not to mention with Akira working long hours, that she had little choice but to be like that. I had thought her sense of independence to be good and an admirable trait. It was in stark difference to my reliance on my parents before my heart attack, as reluctant as I may have been to admit it. However, it also meant that she never let people get too close to her. She lost her family, likely due to her blindness, went to a different school from anybody she knew because of it, and worked all the harder to make sure she didn't end up a burden on her sister and those around her. Yeah. Still props to Akira for keeping that sisterly bond to Lilly intact. And now, Akira's going to Inverness, just like the family she thought she had lost. She never told me of her plans, as conflicted as she was about them. Lilly didn't want to be a burden on anyone, including me. I'm an idiot. I never questioned it. I never tried to be there or asked when she needed me to. I just set up my life and expected it to stay that way forever, with the two of us having a nice long relationship where we push forwards of our future together. A small pit of frustration and anger at myself wells up in my chest. I just let everything happen, never even trying to help Lilly. Just her being there was enough. I thought I could keep on going if that were true. But that could never have been enough. It was like a childlike dependence on somebody, without any attempt to understand or help their situation. Thanks to that, I lost Lilly. I lost the one person I loved most because I wasn't there for her when she needed me. With an increasingly angry feeling washing over me, I turn over and set the crane back on the desk next to my clock, the place where it has lived since the day when she folded it for me. Since that day when she herself said that my burdens needn't be my own. The obnoxious bright red numerals on my alarm clock shine through the darkness of the room onto my tired eyes. 10 o'clock, evening. Curfew will be soon. I wonder. Akira mentioned they'd be leaving this evening. I have no idea exactly when their flight is, but that means there's a chance, however small, that they might not have already left. Adrenaline starts to move through my body as I sit up on my bed, my eyes suddenly wide with possibility. There's no guarantee they haven't left. Indeed, it's likely they already have. But there's also a chance they haven't, however small it may be. Just this once, just as I should have before. I stand up and rush over to my cabinet, throwing out some clothes as fast as I can and sliding them on in quick succession. Each second that goes by is a second that I can't regain. A second that may mean the difference between catching them or losing them forever. Even if I fail, I have to try. I can't let her leave everything behind without even trying to stop her. Without just this once being there for her. With the last of my clothes slipped on, I hastily grabbed the phone off my desk. Luckily, the number for the local taxi company is still in my call history. A gruff, unenthusiastic voice announces the name of the company while I pace around the room. It takes some effort to slow down my voice and keep it clear over the phone. The chilly night air sweeps against me as I open the dormitory door. but nevertheless I keep up my brisk speed as I half jog, half run out of the school gates. It may not be curfew just yet, but it's precariously close. If there were a guard around, they'd no doubt have some questions for me, but it looks like I've managed to come out just before they arrive, or they're around the corner. My pace picks up as I make my way through the school gardens, their nighttime allure all but lost when I begin to run to the school gate. The lamps of the courtyard, dim as they are, provide just enough illumination to light the way and prevent me from tripping over. The buildings themselves take on a rustic, almost antique-looking edge when I glance at them. Looking back, it seems strange that they once appeared so dark and looming to me. Now they just look to be somewhat anachronistic school buildings, the same as any others bar their age. Leaving the gates behind me, I pull to a stop just before the taxi. Parked just as Akira's car had been, its gaudy and brightly lit sign looks out of place in the quiet country backdrop. I impatiently squeeze myself through the door, giving the driver the address for where the two should hopefully be staying. Where? Shizune's place, of course. Because that's right. Because they mentioned that they're gonna stop by the Hakamichis. By the time the taxi pulls up after its trip at maddeningly casual speed, it's well and truly deep into the night. The house is truly enormous, its sheer size much larger than I had expected, and ominously still. Fearing the worst, I ask the driver to stay just in case my efforts are for naught. I'm actually scared for Hisao. Like I'm holding like mental thumbs ups the whole time he's doing this. A single press on the fancy intercom system outside the gate produces a short electronic melody in the otherwise silent road. It's not long before a somewhat deep, gruff voice can be heard from it. This is the Hakamichi residence. Please state your name and why you're bothering us this late. I press on despite inwardly wincing at the reasonable annoyance audible in his voice. It's Hisao Nakai. I was hoping to meet with Lilly or Akira, if they're still here. Surprisingly, I managed to summon quite some energy to my voice, enough to make the other side of the intercom silent. A few seconds pass, but just before I press the button again and ask what's going on, a light turns on outside the front door. I strain my eyes to try and make out who's coming through, but at least he comes past a large parked car with fishing rods sticking out of the back. His identity becomes clear. His face is typically placid and emotionless as he saunters up to the gate. He's still childlike in his mannerisms despite his demeanor. With the press of a few buttons from behind the fence, the gate slowly opens. Hideaki! Hisao, what might you be doing here? I think this is the most emotion I've ever heard from his voice. Not that it would be hard to reach that mark. Akira told me that she and Lilly would be staying here before they left for their flight. I need to talk to Lilly just one last time. Are they still here? Were we too late? The look on his face says everything. I failed. I was too late. The one time when I actually need to act quickly and... Actually, it is possible. What? What is it? He's a bit taken aback by my fervor, but I can't help it at this point. They left not long ago. Only a few minutes before you arrived, in fact. If you go straight to the airport, you might be able to... Hisao! I dart back towards the waiting taxi, grabbing what little money is left in my pocket as I go. Thanks, Hideaki! With that, I take a seat, and in short order, bark out my destination. My chest beats wildly as I tear down the street, my body twisting this way and that to slip between the pedestrians walking back and forth beside me. With the roads solidly blocked by taxis and other cars, dropping off passengers and picking up others in the time they have to wait, we ended up having to stop almost a block away. But that's in the past now. What matters is reaching Lilly. One foot hits the ground, the other quickly following without the slightest thought, as if my legs have taken on a life of their own, and all my mind can do is concentrate on the view ahead of me. Just one glimpse of that long hair of hers, that long yellow hair that was the same color as the wheat that stretched as far as the eye could see. In the end, I depended on Lilly, just like Hanako did. Even after we started going out, it still didn't feel like she really even let herself depend on me. Except for one moment. That one moment where we held each other tightly on that bright yellow field. At that time, she must have feared losing me just as she did everyone else. That's why, just this once. The night air wraps around me, draining every last remnant of warmth out of my body, to the extent that it feels more like midwinter than a summer night. My fingers, my hands, my feet, they all feel increasingly cold. The sound of the passing crowds is reduced to no more than a background hum, while the sound of my shoes hitting the pavement echoes loudly, every step surging towards the person I have to catch. Forced by my chest tightening in response to the cold of the night, I rest an arm over it and try to settle it down. Hisao's really fucking pushing himself, dude. When the airport comes into view, though, I realize this feeling as one I've felt before. Not now. No, of all the times for this, please, not now. I take a gulp and soldier on regardless, pushing my body as far as it will go. Sweat pours off me as I hurtle forward, my shoulder hitting someone's side and my mind suddenly flooding with emotions and memories. I continue on without an apology. I have to keep moving now. If I stop, I'm not sure I could begin again. Or even if I could, it would be all for naught if I'm not on time. I hit another person, then another, offering little resistance to being bounced about. My feet feel numb. My arms are losing all feeling. My chest forces me to hunch over awkwardly, tightening even more. That afternoon in the snow, that time when my life irreversibly changed, images of Iwanako and that damned letter flash over and over and over in my mind. The first love I had lost, thanks to my condition. I can't let that happen again. I don't care what happens to me anymore. I just need to see her one last time. There! They were just about to board. A sliver of yellow and white comes into view some distance down the road, her figure silhouetted by the lights emanating from the airport entrance. Lilly! 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 Stop, please! Lilly! Come on, Lilly, I know your hearing's far beyond north. My view suddenly spins out of control and ends up on the ground. My body haphazardly sprawled after hitting someone and stumbling over. Before I can assess the damage, an unbelievable pain ignites in my body. All my thoughts are blanked as I curl up and frantically clutch at my chest. Hey, are you okay? That was a really bad fall. This pain, I can't. Any sharp knock could do me in. Any overexertion. I thought I could overcome my limits this once.
Something's wrong with him.
What's the matter? The voices of those gathering around me are gradually replaced by a loud ringing in my ears. By now I'm unable to move my head. My eyes turn upwards to see the mute moving of their lips. Call an ambulance right now. Even as I clutch my chest, I realize I can't feel my fingers anymore, nor my feet. It feels like my entire body is shutting down, starting from my extremities. Oh, come on, Hisao. Come on, Hisao. With one last effort, I turn my head down the road towards the airport entrance that's casting its light over me. Lilly is there, behind the crowd. Her head's tilted, but only slightly. I can feel my vision dimming. Holy fuck, dude. We've only seen that animation once this entire game before. I can feel my vision dimming as I try to yell out, but nothing emerges from my mouth despite my best efforts. Slowly but surely, my vision begins to black out the scene before me. So, this is how it ends. I failed. I was so close. So very close. But at the very last moment, my condition seized my chance at a new life and dragged me back. Now I'm going to die, sprawled out just meters from an airport, with a crowd of babbling people surrounding me and with Lilly leaving for Scotland just a little distance ahead. Wow. That last word extinguishes the last of my energy. The world falls into a deep, inescapable blackness as every muscle in my body shuts down. I'm sorry, Lilly. I was too late. White. I have to save here. I'm just constantly saving because I'm fucking scared. What's going on? As I slowly open my eyes, a bright, white light assaults my retinas. For minutes I just lay where I am, mindlessly staring ahead while my scattered thoughts coalesce in my slowly waking mind. Slowly but surely, the white begins to come into focus as a bare expanse begins to be drawn across my field of vision. It's only when the light fixture comes into view that my mind clicks that this is the ceiling above me. Did we actually survive that? Slowly, levering myself up, I silently absorb through all my senses the details of the room I'm in. The smell and the taste of strong bleach hang in the air, lending the impression of a place just slightly too clean to be natural. Inoffensive, pale, peach-colored walls, all perfectly painted without a crack, stain, or an imperfection. A single framed painting hangs on the wall, perfectly straightened. Like the walls, it's as boring and inoffensive as can be. My attention's grabbed by the translucent curtain waving across my vision, my eyes following it to the open window it covers. When I move my right arm to try and lift myself up and look through it, I feel the catheter digging uncomfortably. It's only now, too, that I notice the cannula tubes winding around my cheeks into my nose. After some fidgeting, I settle for just looking around the corner of the window. We're in the hospital. Beyond the thick leaves of several large trees, I can see the greenery below, backing out onto a field. a customary island of green on the outskirts of the city. Judging by the sun outside, it's noon. Of which day, though, I'm not sure. So, I'm in a hospital once again. I let out a long, tired breath as I try to collect my scattered thoughts, my mind unseemingly cast in a dozen directions all at once, with as many emotions running through me. After slowly lying back down, I decide to start at the beginning, why I'm here. I cast my mind back, but I can't work out a smooth recollection of what happened. The events of last night, or whichever night it was, come back more as a series of snapshots than any cohesive memory. Lying on my bed, looking at the origami bird. Talking to Hideaki outside the Hakamichi residence. Running down the street, passing pedestrians and bumping into more and more of them. Falling. Looking up and, at the searingly bright airport entrance, seeing Lilly's back as I lay on the ground. Also, this is the first time they use this kinda like old movie flashback kinda screen, or like a overlay. They're really pushing this. The silence of the private room suddenly feels overwhelming. So, that's it. I had my chance to correct my mistake and I blew it.
So is Lilly really gone? What the hell?
Whether I was at fault for neglecting my medication and disregarding the pace myself or my body was for giving out so soon, it doesn't matter now. All that matters is that once again, I'm alone. The pastel blue pillow yields with little resistance as I let myself fall back onto the bed, its starchy case, along with the starchy sheets, providing a little comfort. Compared to the darkness of the last night's events, the bright light of the room around me is striking. All it does, though, is emphasize how otherworldly places like this are. Arrhythmia. A strange word. A foreign, alien one that you don't want to be in the same room with. A rare condition. It causes the heart to act erratically and occasionally beat way too fast. It can be fatal. It was a miracle that you were able to go on so long without anything happening, they said. And then it did. My condition had taken away everything. My old school was of no importance anymore. My home was reduced to a faraway place. Both my friends and my first love simply stopped visiting after a length of time. I became cynical and embittered, distant and subdued. In my defense, no person could avoid that after such a thing happening to them, but nonetheless I left the hospital as a very definitely changed person. Things changed. I made new friends in Hanako, Shizune, and Misha. I found a new sense of home in my dormitory, a new interest in science and the world around me, and I found a direction in my life that I had never felt before. But I had also discovered other things. The sense of isolation in Yamaku and its surroundings was not entirely unwelcome. The quiet giving a peace of mind I might not have found elsewhere, but it gave the area a feeling of being pushed out of the way, of being kept out of sight. People in the streets would sometimes glance awkwardly, or quickly turn their heads as they realized they were staring. Even if my condition wasn't visible, my uniform was. Even if it weren't, I was still different. I took 17 pills a day, morning, midday, and night. My scar, though hidden behind clothing, was still a permanent mark of my condition. And most of all, there was a very real possibility of death. A bad fall, an absent-minded heart hit on the back, a simple sprint taken too far. Anything could have set my heart off, and several times I teetered on the edge of the abyss, even with all the care I took of myself. But that was fine. I could have lived with all that. Because there was one final thing I had found, or rather re-found, after entering Yamaku, which was once again snatched away before my eyes. It's only now that I realize just how delicate my newfound sense of happiness was. Everything depended on her, the linchpin of my life since I first entered Yamaku as a sullen, confused and aimless transfer student. Lilly Sato was the one person I could depend upon I could depend upon above all others, and who reciprocated the love that I felt for her. But I failed her, and only realized it all too late. Holy hell. They are really pushing this. They even borrowed a couple lines of dialogue from the very first scenes of the game, back when we were in the hospital, when Hisao was talking about his own condition, the arrhythmia. This seems really fucking final, dude. Like, I thought that I could just set my life up and continue that way forever, but the real world doesn't work like that. I finally realized the meaning of those words, only to be struck down as I confronted my failure to do so in time. The surroundings I'm in now are all too familiar. It's as if Yamaku was but a dream, and I'm still recovering from my first major heart attack. Maybe that's why I feel so tired. It feels almost as if I've lived the entire last few months of my life in the space of minutes. The weight of my eyelids closes my eyes, my physical and mental exhaustion letting me offer no resistance. Unintelligible mumbling from ahead of the burr stirs me out of my sleep. With my eyes still closed, I can focus and make out someone, presumably a nurse, bidding farewell to a doctor. As I open my eyes, I notice the door closing in my peripheral vision. God damn it, misclicked. The doctor stands reading some notes off a clipboard held in his hand, carefully looking over the pages. After consulting his obviously very important documents, he looks up and notices my gaze. It's now that I notice something slightly odd about his expression and general disposition, but I can't quite put my finger on it. "Ah, I see you're awake, Mr. Nakai." His quick glance to my bed end to verify my name shows that his documents obviously didn't have it written on them. "I must admit, this is a bit unfortunate. Your parents visited just earlier while you were asleep. I could notify them that you are awake now if you would like." Thanks, that would be good. I give a somewhat dazed reply, most likely the one he'd expect, before really thinking about what I'm saying. "Not a problem. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, I'll be happy to answer them. That is, unless you'd prefer to rest. The anesthetic's still going to be affecting you a bit, I'm afraid." The anesthetic, of course. That would be why I felt so strange the first time I woke up. I slowly shake my head, not wanting to dislodge any pipes or cause myself any more discomfort than necessary. The doctor politely puts down his clipboard in response. "I guess my main question is, what exactly happened?" "To put it simply, you've unfortunately had another heart attack. While not as severe as your first, you were very lucky it occurred so close to a hospital. After being stabilized, you were taken to the operating room. What followed was keyhole surgery to insert a temporary pacemaker. All in all, the incident happened 2 days ago, with emergency treatment being carried out very soon afterward. Since then, we've kept you under close observation while you were asleep. Keyhole surgery? Damn. Will I be alright? Are there any lasting problems? Compared to the procedure carried out for your first heart attack, this was relatively minor. While you will have to undergo surgery once more in a few days' time to remove the pacemaker, assuming there are no complications, there should be no lasting implications. He continues talking, the subject shifting to a repetition of facts about arrhythmia and my medications I already know for the most part. I start to nod and feign interest while my mind drifts. I begin to think how perfectly hung the inoffensive painting hanging on the wall behind his shoulder is, and how neat and sterile the surroundings are, even including the doctor himself. If my mumblings bores you, you are quite welcome to say so, Mr. Nakai. Lord knows, I lose track of myself sometimes. He gives a short chuckle as his self-deprecating joke. I said it! Yes! I said it for the first time! Correctly! As I grimace awkwardly, having been rather badly caught out. The doctor's chuckle sounds different from that of the nurse at Yamaku, though, come to think of it. As I ponder why, I realize why the man in front of me seems that little bit off. His smile is neat and sterile. He delivers his little joke perfectly, with a customary inoffensive chuckle. It's like, rather than talking to the man whose name is neatly printed on the name tag pinned to his lab coat, I'm merely interacting with an actor reading of a pre-rehearsed script, every action having been choreographed beforehand. I suppose he has to be this way, though, being a doctor. He has to keep his neat and sterile smile when chatting to the girl with cancer slowly spreading through her body, when reassuring the woman who will surely die from childbirth, and with every other terminally ill and critically ill patient. That little bit of distance, that little bit of aloofness. It makes me wonder if I've been too harsh, especially considering it's a disposition far from being adopted only by people in his profession. After all, the one I loved kept the same distance from others herself. Looking up to the doctor again, I realized I've been in thought with my head bowed for some time. I understand you must still be tired. You've been through a lot, and as I mentioned before, the anesthetic would still be affecting you. If you don't mind, I'll let you get some rest and tell your parents you have woken up for you. I think that would be good. Thank you. He gives a curt nod before picking up his clipboard and making his way to the large white door in the corner of the room, closing it behind him with a thud. In the end, I'm alone. Again. Lilly's gone. Akira's gone. Hanako would be traveling, and even my parents have already left the hospital. 4 pale peach walls, 1 white ceiling, and a single open window to look out towards the world outside. It's hard to think of the future when the past is crowded around you, claustrophobic in its neat, sterile, starchy, bleach-smelling grip. Lost for what to do or focus on, I context myself with sleeping the time away, as if this were just all another dream like Yamaku had been. White. A sterile, clean white for a sterile, clean room. My eyes open, and I simply stare at the ceiling for some time. It's about as interesting as the television would be, mounted in its metal rack hanging off the ceiling ahead of the bed. Indeed, the television saw its entire use during the time my parents were here. Left on quietly as they waited for me to wake, it was about as banal as it had been the first time I'd ended up in the hospital. Earlier today, an attending nurse had offered to turn off the EKG's speakers. I refused simply because the sound is so entirely normal to me now. It's almost comforting, in a way. That metronome-like regularity gives it at least some feeling that time is moving, even in a place such as this. After some time of listening to its beeping while I fully awaken, though, I realize there's another sound in the room. Concentrating on all my efforts on listening, a task made easy by the lack of distractions, a tiny, teeny melody can be heard. Teeny? Light and quiet. The music sounds almost fragile as it's dwarfed by the EKG's pulses. Tilting my head just slightly to the side, in an effort to see the source of the melody without dislodging any of the sensors and pipes stuck onto me, I notice a little wooden box sitting on the nightstand next to the bed. Oh!
That's the music box we gave to Lilly.
No way. No way. Okay. Okay. If... no, I'm not even going to say if. I'm not going to jinx anything. My mouth opens just slightly while I silently watch the tiny yellow metal drum slowly rotate inside, the little bumps on its surface gradually moving in and out of sight.
This music box, it's the one I gave.
The creaking of the door breaks me out of my reverie, my head and heart remaining still as my eyes turn to see who comes through. Long tan skirt, peach of the shoulder sweater, pale, almost porcelain skin, blue clouded eyes and long yellow hair.
Lilly! Lilly! Why are you here, you doof bag?
All I can do is stare as Lilly slowly walks into the room, her fingers slightly running over the wall for orientation, and my mind comes to a shuddering halt.
Lilly?
She stops mid-stride, her entire body tensing.
Hisao? Was that you?
Her voice is quiet and pensive, echoing her expression.
I thought you were...
Lilly takes one tentative step forward, then another, as if she were holding herself back. Her control over her composure is for naught, though, and she finally rushes over to where I lay, as the last of her resistance falls. I'm slightly taken aback when she grabs hold of me, hunching over as tears begin to fall from her cheeks, since only minutes ago I thought she was on the other side of the world. After a moment of hesitation, I rest my right hand on her soft shoulder.
Hisao! Hisao!
My Lily's body trembles as her tears blot the pale green sheets, her emotions flooding through her carefully maintained exterior. With her face now closer, and made easier to see for her pale skin being lit by the sunlight from the window, I notice her cheeks being redder than they should be. It's okay, Lily. I'm okay. You don't need... She rights herself quickly, her crying forcefully stifled with both sadness and stubbornness remaining in her moistened eyes. Her prideful nature, always having been something to contend with, takes me off guard.
Stop telling me not to worry about you, Hisao. Just this once. Let me cry.
I'm caught speechless. She waits for a response, but her composure breaks again after a handful of seconds. I swallow hard to try and settle my own emotions while she weeps onto my bed. A strange mixture of relief and depression welling up. Lily's here. She's really here. If I couldn't feel her skin under my hand, I'd hardly believe my own eyes. My efforts went for nothing. My body's attempt to take away everything that was important to me once again has been foiled. But now, I don't feel as happy about it as I thought I would. Seeing her here, crying like this over me, this is the one thing that I had wanted to avoid since coming to love her. No, even since leaving the hospital. I'm sorry, Lily. It's my fault I'm here. I shouldn't have tried to push myself so far. I give a self-deprecating snort. After months of keeping myself together so nobody would worry over me, I went and did something like this. I guess I'm pretty dumb. With a couple of sniffs and a long breath, Lily manages to pull herself together and calm down a little. Despite her red cheeks, moist eyes, and the lines of her tears still visible, she delicately wears that weak smile she seemed to so often give. You needn't blame yourself. I heard later that it appeared happened as you were running down the road after me, right? Still... She wipes her eyes with the back of her hand, returning more to her old self as the rush of emotions wears off. Why did you run after me, Hisao? I mean, come on, does the game even have to answer that? I move to respond, but notice her face tightening. Even after I'd said goodbye, and I'd left Yamaku Academy... She takes a moment to steady herself, her emotions almost bubbling up once again. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry. Sorry? For the times when I wasn't there when you needed me. Until now I thought you were being there would be enough. I only needed you by my side to make any day feel better. Even if my body may be like this, I want to help you, Lily. To be there when you need someone. But you always were there, Hisao. Why did you want to go to Scotland, Lily? Why? I told you before. Akira was going and because of my family's summons to their home. Why didn't you say that you wanted to go? I'm not stubborn often, but I think this one time I think I need to be. I want you to stay here, Lily. I want you to stay here where everyone knows you live. Where everyone you know lives. And where all your dreams and ambitions were made. If you choose to stay, I'll never leave your side. I won't let you lose another person. When I had my heart attack, I was snatched away from everyone and everywhere I knew. You showed me a new life after I came to Yamaku. I had lost my past, but you showed me a future. It's true that I haven't always been there for you. I'm unreliable, sometimes I lied, and I thought I'd come to understand you when I hadn't even understood myself. Be that as it may, I want to give you a future as well. I want to be there for you, to share both your burdens and your happiness, just like I promised in Hokkaido. I want you to trust me. I know I had problems coming to put my trust in you, after losing so many people I'd known after my heart attack. But that's how I know that being unable to trust others can feel awful. That's why I can't watch you just throw away everything like this. I never want you to go through what I did. I would do anything to stop that. You can be quite steadfast when you want to be, can't you? As I said, it isn't often. My weak smile drops though, as the IV in my arm digs in a little. It's a harsh reminder of my tether to my condition. Lilly's face tenses as I let out a small gasp of pain, immediately making me wish I'd stifled it better. All I can do is sigh in defeat. I tried to not let anyone worry over me for the entire time since I left the hospital, but I can't even stop the one person I love most for crying over me. Even I might finally be able to put my feelings into words. I feel pretty useless with a body like this. Every time I tried to reach towards something, it was just snatched away, and even now things only turned out for the better due to luck. I guess that's something else I should apologize for. All I can ever do is make you worry. Even now, there's a very little chance I'll live anywhere near a full life. The feeling of Lilly's warm, soft hand moving over my left cheek makes me lift my head up, her smile gentle and warm as she touches me. I think that is something very natural for you to say. You were always so sincere and self-conscious. You were also reserved and mild-mannered, and patient to a fault with Hanako, yet curious about everything and everyone. When I said I missed you while I was with my family, I wasn't lying or exaggerating. The thought of you was never far from my mind, and helped me through that time. That is why I was so confused about what to do when my family summoned me. Even after I thought I had made my decision, you tried your hardest to challenge me about it. I didn't confess to you out of pity or believing you were somehow different from what you are. I confessed because I never want to lose you, and want you to always be part of my life, no matter what might change. You are a very beautiful person, Hisao. Your heart changes none of that, so please don't apologize yourself anymore. For a long time, silence reigns in the room. I'm not really sure what this newly born feeling inside of me is, but it pales into insignificance as I wordlessly gaze at Lilly's smiling face, warm and gentle, as it has always been. It's only as her thumb crosses my cheek, wiping away a single drop of moisture, that I realize this is all I have ever wanted. For what feels like a first time, I give an earnest, wide smile. As Lilly feels it against her palm, she returns the gesture. More time passes before either of us says a word. neither of us needing speech to communicate our feelings to each other. I know I can't promise you that I'll always be around, or that we'll be together forever. With some difficulty I slowly lift my hand, placing it on her pale shoulder. But I think I can at least take you to next year's Tanabata festival, to make up for to make up for making you miss this year's. Lily's expression is one of surprise, though I can't say I blame her. You remember that? I've got a pretty good memory, sometimes. She raises her head a little and takes her hand from my cheek, giving a small, amused giggle. I smile absent-mindedly at how earnest it is, almost girlish in its lightness. Still smiling warmly, she collects herself and stands upright with a hand resting on my chest. It feels like I'm seeing her for the first time, the sun from the window glowing behind her, just as it did when I first walked into that room where she was drinking tea in. Very well then, shall we make it a promise between the two of us to go to the next year's Tanabata together? Even if she can't see me doing so, I nod approvingly. I promise. I promise. Excuse me guys, I just want to listen to the music. Four Leaf Studios. Right now those three words equal to magic for me. Wait, what is this? There's never been stuff after the credits. What? Also, this is a new background as well. Akira, Lilly, and I silently sit on the grassy embankment high above the local town, the breeze gently blowing through the cloudless sky. We may be just a few minutes' walk from the town on a hill just outside its limits, but the view is entirely unexpected. Lilly sits beside me, her eyes closed as a gentle breeze flows through her hair. This is a nice area. Yeah, I never knew a place like this was anywhere near Yamaku. I actually thought this was Scotland, for some reason. Hey! Akira is here! And I had to be the one to find it, of course. Akira's grin is genuine, but her tone is slightly different from her usual carefree nature. It's good you're out of the hospital though, Hisao. Nobody's more glad than I am. I can't stand hospitals. So, you two going back to the school tomorrow? Yep. Akira chuckles in amusement before looking back out to the town below, the trees between the buildings swaying in the wind. Pity we couldn't go up north or for the summer holidays, or get to Tanabata. I wouldn't worry. There's always next time.
You'll be graduating before the next summer vacation, won't ya?
Yeah, there will still be college after that, mind.
Going to the same one?
Likely. We both have high enough scores to meet the entry requirements. You sound so sure. Don't worry, you're better than I in most subjects. I guess we'll work it out in due time.
That's the way. Just enjoy yourselves in Yamaku while you're there.
Lilly gives a sad sigh at the distinction I made between Akira and the two of us. Do you really need to go back to Scotland?
Yeah, the folks are already out for my blood as it is.
You weren't meant to stay this long. Oh, Akira. She gives her trademark wide grin.
Setting my boyfriend up with a passport took some time! Yay! Yay! They didn't break up!
Woo! You're taking him with you?
Just for a while at first. He's a surprisingly worldly guy, so I think he'll do fine.
Akira gives an amused snort.
If our father had his way, I'd have gone a long while ago. I just couldn't pass up an excuse to stay with my favorite little sister a little while longer, though.
She leans right and gives Lilly a tight, playful hug, cheering her up considerably. It is nice to be with you one last time, though.
Oh, the sisters have to separate.
For what it's worth, I'm in the same boat.
Hey, thanks you too. I'll try and come back sometime, don't worry.
It is a shame that the business keeps you so busy.
The place won't run itself, I'm afraid, and I think it's going to be the same just over there. Considering that, I'd better get going.
Have fun over there, Akira.
Will do.
With a slight grunt, she lifts herself up with her hands and stands up, dusting herself off as she does so.
Well, I'd better be off. The plane won't wait for me after all.
She has a certain unusual wistfulness in the tone of her voice, her eyes firmly planted on her sister. I will be okay, Akira.
Yeah, I know.
Come now, it isn't that bad. You'll be able to see us again soon. It's strange to have Lilly reassuring and doubting Akira for once. She really has changed. Goodbye, Akira.
Bye.
For a second, the dark-clad figure looks down at the both of us, smiling widely. Perhaps more widely than I'd ever seen her do before. She lets out a long, slightly wavering breath to steady herself before leaving, but eventually slips her hand in her pocket and turns on her heel. And with that, she walks away, one hand held in the air as she goes, her trademark way.
See ya later, you two.
A jazz tune with no beat, melody, or direction to the very end. After a few moments of sitting silently, Lilly and I pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off. Turning towards her with a broad smile, I hold out my hand. Shall we be off then? She takes my hand in hers, with a gentle nod and a smile as beautiful and warm as ever. Indeed we shall, Hisao. Wow, dude. Forwards with gusto is the name of the scene, the final scene in the game. As we set off towards the school, that wonderful smile engraves itself onto my memory. That wonderful smile that we both share. Our pasts may be scattered and at times overshadowed by sadness, but they're also an irrevocable part of our lives and personalities. Even if I could change a single thing, I wouldn't, because my past was what led me here. That's why, even with all that's happened to us before, and all that may well befall us, together we will keep walking forwards. Forwards towards the future. Our future. Oh my god, dude. I have to admit that wasn't as heartbreaking as I thought it would be. It wasn't as heartbreaking as I would have thought it would be. But still, holy hell. That final scene with Lilly. This right here. Like, I don't... Like, I'll go into this more in depth once I make the compilation video of, like, everything in the game, pretty much. And kind of tell my honest thoughts about it. But this picture just gives... It gives off pure clarity and serenity. It doesn't just give off like happiness and like, you know, that kind of clear, completely worryless world. Like, they're going to be graduating soon. I mean, Akira left with a good mind, and Lilly apparently stayed in Japan with Hisao. And Hanako's also having a fun time. And also just the fact that they had to write an extra little scene after the credits kinda tells something about the impactfulness of this route too. Like, there were so many moments of like pure madness. There were moments of despair. There were moments of like just absolute frustration. There were moments of confusion. And then there's just moments like these which just fucking straight up... Oh my god. I mean... the scene in the hospital... like in the hospital when... like just before this scene, when Lilly came into the room, I honestly thought that that's how it's going to end. Like I knew I was in the good end route because I had gone past the neutral/bad ending route. But I like like the amount of effort that the writers put into the scene before this, into the scene when Hisao was laying in the hospital bed again, just being all like arrhythmia. And like going through like the steps and what he's gone through and what it is and what he lost back in his first heart attack, the doctor coming in, and just like the casual routine of time moving slowly by, continuing. All that gave the very, very lively expression of, this is it, Lilly's gone. And the way they linked... Firstly, they linked Hisao's motivation to go to Lilly's place in the airport with the origami, and then the way how they brought in the music box with the melody, and then like described Lilly, like her clothing, hair, like that was alongside that Rin Atelier scene, probably one of the best, like top 3, 4 written moments in the game. Absolutely, if not the best. I'll have to kind of go through and check out other scenes, but oh my god, dude. I just want to, I would love to just dwell on this for like minutes and minutes more, but five routes, all of them done. And my Facebook had gone on for some fucking reason again. But yeah, 5 routes, all of them done. All of them absolutely brilliant in their own way. But I mean, all of the routes were all of the routes were absolutely fantastic. Like in it's easy to be a wise. It's easy to be wise in hindsight. Like I know that much, and I don't want to like say that. Yeah, all of the routes were good because yeah. I mean, there were shit parts to the like every single route as well, and I'll go into those in more detail tomorrow. But like now that I've finished every single route in the game, I don't want to really. I don't really want to like compare the routes like in this video. I'm not in that state of mind. Like that route fucking drained me. I mean, as I mentioned, it wasn't as emotional as, for an example, Hanako's route, like the ending. That was the closest I've come to crying in this game. That and the one scene on Lilly's route. I think it was in the last episode. Yeah, the student council reunion. Those two scenes were like what made me nearly cry in the game. I don't know what to say. That would like as the user Scar mentioned, Lilly's like at the beginning, I think at episode 81 or something. This was a brilliant like love story. This was the textbook love story that you would love to read, for an example. And wow. I mean, that was just a brilliant love story. There's nothing more to it. Anyways, this is it for the official game of Katawa Shoujo, Disability Girls in English. It's funny how I never said the game name in English before or even referenced it. Thank you. This was exactly 100 episodes. That's kinda cool, right? I guess I could kinda talk about what I'm going to do next. There's a poll in the description where you can vote for my next game. Right now there is one vote, which is not my own, by the way. To a game called School of Talent Suzu's Route, which it's a new visual novel. I don't remember the company which published it, but I got access to play it, and I thought, like, why the hell not? Why shouldn't I play it? And I suppose that's coming next. Maybe I'll take a break, maybe not. I don't know. I need to fully digest this masterpiece of a Katawa Shoujo to before I start playing School of Talent from a clean platter, because I don't want to start making references to like from School of Talent to Katawa Shoujo, just like, oh, back in Katawa Shoujo there was this and this and this. No, I don't want that. I want to play School of Talent blind. I want to play it like as with an as unbiased opinion as possible. I don't want to like keep comparing School of Talent into Katawa Shoujo, because holy shit, 4-Leaf Studios did a good job on this game. Like when I finished, well, okay, let's leave that until tomorrow's video. Let's just say that when I finished like Emi's route, I was already really happy. Thank you guys for watching this finale to Katawa Shoujo. If you liked the episode, make sure to drop a comment down below. It can be casual banter or just constructive criticism. I'll respond to it all and I will read it all. You may also show your like or dislike to watch the video by using the buttons below the video, the upvote or the downvote buttons. Your honesty is greatly appreciated. You may also subscribe and click the bell button next to the subscribe button to make sure that you get my videos in your subbox the moment they come online. My name is Negacious. I thank you once more for sticking with me throughout this brilliant visual novel. And I'll see you in my next video and in my next game. Bye bye.